Are you back? Okay. I think we are live. I think we can proceed, Black Messiah. Clinton, are you there? We are live. I don't know if you're speaking, Clinton, but we can't hear you. Please indicate on the chat whether you are speaking. Or is it just me? Can somebody else confirm whether...
No, I can't hear him.
I can't hear him either.
So Clinton, there's a problem with your audio. Perhaps you can consider logging out and logging back in, because we can't hear you. Yeah. But in the meantime, as Clinton sorts out his audio, since we are live, we need to start. We need to start the discussion. The topic was fatherhood, trust in relationships, and DNA tests for paternity. That was the topic. I remember he shared some questions on the WhatsApp group. Unfortunately, I cannot access them because I struggle to multitask on this phone. Maybe we can start with the definitions, and then Clinton, hopefully Clinton, you'll have fixed your audio. Kindly log out and log back in. If you can hear me, Clinton, log out and then log back in. Maybe you'll be able to fix your audio by doing that. Yeah, because at the moment you are inaudible. We cannot hear you. All the subtopics have been posted. Great. The subtopics are here. They include the emotional impact of DNA testing on fatherhood, building trust before and after paternity testing, surprise outcomes when DNA testing changes family dynamics. Number 4, the role of modern technology in fatherhood and relationships. Number 5, legal and ethical considerations of DNA testing in relationships. 6, from doubt to certainty, rebuilding trust in the relationship. 7, fatherhood beyond biology, the role of nurture and emotional bonding. 8, cultural perspectives on paternity and DNA testing. 9, the impact of DNA testing on co-parenting and blending families. And 10, preparing for the conversation, how to discuss DNA testing with your partner. So, those are many subtopics. I hope Clinton will be able to combine some of them just so that we can finish them within the set time. But we can start with the first one, which is the emotional impact of DNA testing on fatherhood. By the way, Clinton, you're still there. Please consider logging out and then logging back in, if you can hear me. Yeah, so guys, that's the first question. As we wait for Clinton to fix his machine, what is the emotional impact of DNA testing on fatherhood? That's the first question. What is the emotional impact of DNA testing on fatherhood? Please raise your hands. You have something to say. Oh, sorry, I had not seen that hand. I see David's hand is up. Go ahead.
Thanks, Dorcas. I'm not fathers, but I was waiting. I was waiting for the guys to to come up and say something because most of the time, women know, unless somebody's a real player, most of the time, women know who the father is. So I was hoping that the guys would tell us what they would feel, or just honestly, we know that that would really be bad, but we can't assume that we know what it is for each particular person as an individual. So I can just put myself there where I really don't belong because I'm not fathers again. But so if as a child, then I want to find out, I think that is probably something that I could say. But I think that could wait, the impact of fatherhood on the child can wait until the fathers have said what the impact on fatherhood is. Thank you.
Okay. Neve has preempted the men. You fathers, either you're a current father or a would-be father, please tell us what do you think the impact of DNA testing, the emotional, actually, he specified the emotional impact of DNA testing on fatherhood. Please tell us. Yes, Ndeve, you wanted to add something? Because your mic is unmuted.
Oh, sorry. No, I am waiting for the fathers. Thank you.
Okay. Great. El Maestro, are you a father?
Of course, I'm not a father. I'm not a father, but maybe how would I feel if I was to have some children with a woman, and after some time I do DNA test and I find out they are not my children. I think it depends. It depends. It depends on the type of woman I might have been dating, or that I might have married or dating all the time. Because you should not all assume that the men will suffer emotionally, because I saw another video of there's a man who went to do a DNA test of their 3 children. The man real and it was like recorded on video, and it was posted when this doctor was now revealing the 3 children, if they belong to the man or not. It was like a program that reveals those things about DNA. But when this man realized that these children are not his, imagine the man was celebrating. Is like he said, finally, this woman is out of my life. Finally, because even the children that I thought they are mine are not mine. The man celebrated. So it depends on a lot of things, on the kind of woman I might have thought this woman is. If if maybe she was a not so good, maybe, or a toxic woman, in fact I'll say, oh, amen, hallelujah, finally this woman is out of me. But if I genuinely felt something for this woman and she was good to me, but then I find out these children are the children I had with her are not mine. And I don't know how I will feel. I don't know. I I don't know, because men we are not supposed to show emotions. I don't know. We just hold them deep inside. So how will I feel? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Stano is already a father can say it. Me, I don't know, because I'm not in position. I don't know.
Aha, that is El Maestro's take. Before I ask El Maestro a question, Black Messiah, Clinton, have you fixed your audio?
Hello.
You're back. You're back.
So
Great. You can
I was not audible.
continue. No, you are not audible the entire time. That's why I had to step in on your behalf. You are not
Okay,
audible.
okay, then let me start. I'm sorry.
Karibu.
Okay, thank you and welcome to today's topic. My name is Clinton and I'll be your moderator. So, in many communities, the family is the fundamental of everything. You know, the family, every community, the family is the fundamental in everything. And as a man, I'm talking as a man, as a man, I wake up every day. I go to work. I go to work because I have a family. I'm providing. I'm going to work. I wake up at 6 in the morning because I know I have a family. I have a daughter. I have a wife that I provide for. So that's why every day in the morning I wake up to go and look for money and provide for my family, especially my daughter. I have a daughter. So what do I mean? I mean this. In every family, the cornerstone of every family is built on fatherhood and the trust. So that's why into today's topic, which is fatherhood, trust in relationship, and DNA testing. That's what we're going to discuss. So in our discussion today, we'll try to explore how DNA test influences fatherhood and the trust in relationship. We'll try to examine the challenges and the transformation that families face in this DNA test. So we have like 10 subtopics we are going to discuss today. So we start with the first subtopic is the emotional impact of DNA testing on fatherhood. So in this subtopic, I want us to explore how DNA results can affect a father's emotional connection and bond with the child. Yeah, you can raise your hand. How DNA testing can affect a father's emotional connection and that's bond with the child. Let me turn my camera on because I'm the moderator. I want you to see the how and some the moderator is. So in today's subtopic. So in this subtopic, I want us to look how DNA results can affect a father's emotional connection and the bond that of the child. So you can raise your hand as as a father, not as a father, as a man. As a man, you're married to this beautiful lady. You're married, you're pregnant, you get a child. So from zero, you get a child. From zero to let's say to 13 years. You've raised your child from 0 to 13 years. So at the age of 13 years, you decide, man, let me go for a DNA test. Then you realize that at 13 years, this child is not mine. So as a father, what do you do? How does that affect you, the child? Okay, I go with Elmas.
Okay, as I said earlier, sometimes it depends. It's not 100% that if a man finds out that this child is not his, he will be deeply affected. That I've told you, I saw a video of another man who had 3 children with a woman, and he did the DNA test. It was revealed that the 3 children are not his, and the man was celebrating. He was not. It's like he had a big burden off his shoulders had been removed, a burden off his shoulders, and he was celebrating this news that these 3 children are not his. But now, as for me, I said it depends on the kind of woman this man maybe might have been married to or dating, because it's not, you don't need to marry someone to have children with them. So if maybe you had a deep emotional connection in this woman and you maybe you had that deep emotional connection with her, then you find out this child or children that you said with her is not yours. You can you'll feel like you'll feel like a fool, and you'll stop trusting anyone. You'll stop trusting anyone ever. In that is the first thing. Not that you might have been trusting everyone that time, but your level of trust I think will go down nearly to zero. Because if you are the person that you felt a deep emotional connection lied to you for 13 years that this child is yours and is not yours, I think the first thing that you look at is your trusting other people, and also, I don't know, it depends on how you are raised. Some people might decide just to end it all, and they decide to if you don't have that self control or with anger management. If you don't have that anger management, you might end up committing murder sometimes. So it can affect the man emotionally. It can also depend on your anger management, on how this man was also raised. Your anger management, your level of anger management, because it will also, of course, it will make you angry that you've been fooled for 13 years. Yes, that was my contribution.
Thank you, Elmas. Dorcas?
Okay, I would first like to start with a question to El Maestro. El Maestro, that example you gave of the man who rejoiced when he found out that the DNA test was negative, that is not the father. Do you think that is common, that is typical especially
No,
especially in cases where the children are slightly older. It's not a newborn, somebody who is like 13
no,
years, a child is that. Mm.
okay, it is not common, but I gave that example just to say that it is not always the case that when a man finds out this child is not his, that the man will be deeply affected emotionally. I'll just give that example to show that there are also other men who they also celebrate if they find out that this child is not theirs. I was just giving that example to show that there are also other men who they celebrate when they hear that this child or these children are not theirs. Maybe and also
Okay.
maybe it depends on if the it was he felt like it was they were a burden on his shoulders, maybe, or they had a deep wrangle with this woman, maybe. So sometimes it's not always the case that the men will be deeply affected when they hear this child is not there. Some celebrate that example.
Okay, because you see, sometimes when we make a comment about something, I think we shouldn't rush to the exception, to the periphery, the margins. I think we should first start with what is the majority opinion, what is the commonest reaction to a negative DNA test. And then now we can consider other aberrations. But I just wanted to bring that out, that this example you've given is rare. It's rare. Now, Clinton is asking what is the impact of a DNA test result, which is a negative on the father. So, granted, I'm not a father, I don't have fatherhood capabilities. uh, but I do think that I am a human being and I can put myself in the shoes of somebody who experiences this. Now, even before I give my take on what the emotional impact would be, I have to I have to, let me say, preempt the discussion by clarifying that there are two types of uncertainty, parenting uncertainty. There is paternal uncertainty and there's maternal uncertainty. In fact, there was a lady who went to a doctor, and the doctor told her, "Do you know that there is a test to find out who the father of the child is?" And the lady was like, "Oh, is that so?" The doctor said, "Yes, it's called a DNA test." And then the lady asked the doctor, "What about a test to find out who the mother is?" And the doctor looked at her, and then he was like, "Yes, that test is called an IQ test." Because if you've just given birth to a child, then why do you need to test? But of course, as Ndave had mentioned, there are instances where sometimes there's confusion in the hospital, and it might be necessary to do a DNA test, or there might be cases of adoption. There are many other cases where maternal uncertainty can come in. But for the most part, because the mother is the one that carries the child and they're the ones that give birth to the child, it is usually a given. Maternal uncertainty is not common. Mothers are certain that they are the parent of that child since they carried them for 9 months and they popped them out of their bodies. However, paternal uncertainty is another animal altogether. That one is quite debatable because it is not this person. The father is not the one that brings a child into the world, like physically. So you can never be 100% sure. In fact, this aspect of paternal uncertainty was once tested in a certain in a certain research. What these people did is they looked at the gifts that were given during a wedding ceremony. No, not a wedding ceremony. It was what? It was the, I think it was the child's birthday or the child's bar mitzvah, because they were Jewish. And they found that the gifts which came from the maternal side being the side of the mother, the gifts were more generous and they were bigger. Then the gifts that came from the father side were slightly less than. And this was replicated across many other families. They did that test across the board. And they found that because of maternal certainty, you are sure she was pregnant. We saw her when she was pregnant. So this child is definitely our blood. That's why you're willing to invest. If you know that somebody is your blood, you're willing to invest in that child, whether you are the father or whether you are another relative. It's just human nature. We tend to bond with the person that we are connected to by blood. And then for the paternal side, they gave less generous gifts because they were not really sure. You cannot really be sure that this child was had by your son or your nephew, whoever you're related to. So paternal uncertainty has implications on the extent to which people invest resources in a child, whether those are distant relatives or whether it is actually the father himself. When you know that someone is your blood, that this is a part of me, my sperm created this child, then you are more likely to invest in them, to take care of them, and all that, and to be a full-on father. But if you are not certain, then you are less likely to do so. And then when you do the DNA test and you find out now fully, you're now 100% sure that you're not the father, then you are less likely to invest in that child. Of course, we'll consider other options, maybe later in the discussion, of men who decide to continue taking care of a child who is not theirs biologically. But for the most part, many men opt not to. Here in our group, we have one such individual. I'll not name his name for privacy reasons, but he told us, he shared that situation, that he was married to a woman. They had several children. And because of certain suspicions and certain rumors here and there, he decided to go and do DNA tests on all the children. And after doing the DNA test on all the children, he only found that one was related to him, the rest were not. What he decided to do was to kick out all the kids plus the wife and remain with the one that he is related to by blood. So overall, I know I've spoken a lot. Overall, I think when the test comes out negative, you feel betrayed. You feel like you have invested so much of yourself, your resources, your time, your values, your hopes and aspirations, even your name, in someone who isn't really yours. It's the ultimate break of trust. And I think it takes a lot of mental fortitude for a man to bounce back and continue to trust women again. Let me leave it there. I'll continue with the rest later.
Okay. Thank you, Dorcas. So, Dorcas, if I may ask you, so you have talked about a man who told you he went for a DNA test. He found only one child is his. So, as a woman, what advice, if he came to you, what advice would you have told him? Should he walk away? Should he just stay? 1 minute.
That is a tough one. Oh my gosh. That is a tough one. I'm thinking, yes, there's a betrayal. There's a dynamic between the man and the woman, the wife and the husband, but there's also the welfare of the child or the children. Actually, there were several children, more than three children. So I'm also thinking of the welfare of the children and how long has this man been playing the role of a father? If it has been several years, personally, I it's tough. It's tough, really. But I would urge him to consider staying with them, to consider. But it is well within his right to choose to terminate because he's been betrayed, he's been lied to. And these are so many kids. At least if it was one, he could have considered staying on. But there's so many kids. It's tough, Clinton. It's a tough one.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the answer. Okay, next we go to Pastor Stano. Pastor Stano. Pastor Stano, hello.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
I'm about to close the office. So for me, what I can say, but before that, I may also pose a question. Do they knew the real father of a child? Because, and for me, what I can say, for a father to go for a DNA test, there must be something that is going on that creating some doubt. That is why you find a father decided to go for DNA test. And in that case, when he find the child is not his, now that trust will definitely die completely. Even if maybe he may live with that wife, will not be able to take care just like the initial. But he will just do that for the case maybe he fear for breakup, or he don't like that divorce, or he wonder how the society will behave or will react about that thing. So he decided to keep quiet, but with zero trust to his wife, because before he got to the DNA, he first of all created some doubt. So for me, I can say there is no any surprise for a father when he get the child is not his, because he already prepared psychologically. It's only that he wanted to confirm whether it's true. So when he find the child is his, he will gain that trust. But if we find it's not his, the trust that because he had little trust. That is why he decided to go for a DNA test. So he already prepared psychologically. So even if we find the child is not his, it's already prepared psychologically. So we do not have that emotion. The only emotion can only come if it's a third party coming to test, or I'm the one coming to test your family to see whether the child is yours or is mine. That is only the surprise that you can get. But if you are the one who are getting that up, you cannot get that depression or that emotion. That is my intake. But I asked the question whether I already really knew the child is mine or is another friend, because I already maybe have slept with the several guys, not only about the husband. How can he be sure the child is not for the real husband or is for the other guys?
Thank you, Pastor Stan. Juliana, you are next.
Yeah, thanks, Clinton. I think I just want to add on to what Dorcas was answering about. It's the man's choice as to whether to continue taking care of those other kids or not. I'm coming from a different perspective. I don't think it's a matter of whether the man has a choice or not. I think what the man should do, if I was the man and I found out most of the children I raised are not mine, I would go sue that woman for all the money that I spent, the emotional turmoil that I'm going to go through because of that mistake. I would totally do that. One of the things we want to get away from is not really forcing, but guilting the injured party, i.e. the husband who's found out these are not his kids or her kids, guilting them into taking care of those kids just because. Oh, don't worry about it. Just take care of them. After all, you've taken care of them since they were young. That is not fair to the man. When I talk about protecting, i.e. boy child, man child, husband child, this is what I'm talking about. We have to protect our male people because I think people take advantage of them very, very much just because. So follow up with Dorcas. If I was that man, I would sue that woman for the amount of money that I have spent on those 3 kids. Now, Stano says that you might know as a man that you might know, you might already have your suspicion, but Stano, I'm telling you, you can't know. Some of these women are so crafty. You can't know until the DNA happens. But if you can know, that's fine. But sometimes you get caught and you sort of now in a hole as to whether to continue taking care of these kids or not. But I say as a man, start from the point saying, no, no, no. I'm going to sue you for the amount of money I spent on those kids when you knew they were not my kids. Thanks.
Thanks, Juliana. But I have a question for you. So let me ask you this. So you have said you sue your wife, you sue for the patent. So let me ask you this. So if you sue the wife, what happens to the kids? Like you have sued the wife has been found is guilty. So what happens to this kid that is not yours and you have raised it? So what happens to the kid?
They're not mine. It's up to the wife to find the fathers of those kids to take care of them. Seriously. After paying for these kids, you actually, Clinton, I like the way you started saying that as a man, you go out there and you work hard, you bring the money home because you're trusting these are your kids. Imagine all that pain and agony you've gone through for these 3, 4 kids, only to find out they're not yours. Absolutely not. If I find that out, those kids can go find their dad. The woman can go figure out how to take care of those kids and stop taking advantage of me, which is what she's done for the rest since those kids were born. So I'm being tough, but I have to be tough because I've been taken advantage of as a good husband, hardworking husband, to take care of kids who are not mine, yet the wife knew. So yes, that's what I would say, Clinton.
But I have a question. What if you have 3 kids which is yours, or 2 is yours, but 1 is not yours? But those kids live in peace and they live happily together. Will you separate them because 1 is not yours?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I will. Because at the end of the day, I have to look after myself and my kids, and I am feeling the pain and betrayal that this woman brought to me. Why should I carry that burden? And it's not my fault. It is the fault of that woman. Had she come out initially and said, hey, husband, this is what happened. I strayed a bit. Please forgive me. Let's live together. Different story, because now I know. But she lets me raise this kid until they're 13, 14. pay all that school fees, all that money, and then I find out, no, I'm sorry, I'm being hard, but that's what I would feel like. It depends. If she told me in the beginning, like, when she's pregnant and it's coming out, and I'll think about it. But for me to find out later, no.
Thank you, Juliana. David?
Yes, thank you, Clinton. Woo, that's tough, Juliana. Even I will say, even I will say that is tough. It would, in that situation, it would be good if all the kids are not his, but if there is a melange, a mix of fathers, that is going to be a good mess. Now, there are cultures that might not have as much problem as who is the father, and there are some cultures that have got a problem that a kid has to go with his father. In Ukambani, I think it's a little bit more relaxed. Uibe, ujulikani, sawa. Mtoto anaenda na mama. But when they are grown, if you know that your father was the other husband, that you can go back when you are grown up, because that's where your inheritance is. It's a little bit, there are those things that are practiced. Everybody knows what goes around, but they are not rigid. It has not yet been rigidly written that, okay, we ukae na mama yako until you are grown up, alafu uende uka inherit uko ukiwa mkubwa, nenda uka inherit uko kwenu. Anyway, yeah. So I was on the phone for a while, and I missed the start and some of the questions, but I would say that the question that Stano asked is if women know the fathers of yes, most women know the fathers of their children, 100%. Most women, I'm just saying most women. But if somebody, a teenager is running around there, does not know the mechanisms of pregnancy, they might not know who it is. They will say, oh boy, maybe it's Peter, oh brother, maybe it is Job, or all that. Yeah, but most women, if you are just having one boyfriend, then that is that one boyfriend. You did not get it from a toilet seat in a public toilet. No. And definitely, if you are married, then that is a little more cut and dried. This better be from the husband. And if it is not, well, maybe it better be from one person, not from 10 people, like not 10 possibilities. I'm just saying that, like, yeah, if you are a wife, what the heck is going on? And I'm thinking that when people are playing or they are playing each other, then there are repercussions, just the way Juliana is saying, that the betrayal, the pain of betrayal is not just for the father alone. It's going to hurt everybody and the children too. Because you've been raising a child has only known you as dad. Now mnamkata, mnamwambia, no, you've got to go find a dad. The word, find a dad, how this has been dad all the time. So yes, it can be a mess, and that is DNA. Even that is one of the problems with the truth. It will cut, and it will cut both ways. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dave. So for me, what I know, if a lady has a relationship with two guys, let's say guy A has money and the guy B doesn't have money. So this guy B who doesn't have money, if he impregnates the lady will take the pregnancy to the guy A who has money. That's why they say that the ladies are the one who choose who's the dad for the kid. So Dorcas, as you speak, I want you to answer the question. Pastor Tano said, do ladies know the real father of a child?
I may clarify also, maybe within a week, you have slept with the two guys, and then you get pregnant. How can you be sure who is the owner?
Okay. That's a very interesting question. So I think none of these questions you guys are asking have a cut and dried answer. None of them. It is not black or white. Otherwise, we would not have a Zoom discussion about it. It is not black or white. I'm going to answer that question, and I'm also going to answer the hypothetical question that Stano asked Juliana of whether a father should still cut ties if the case is that some children are his and some children are not his biologically. None of these questions, I tell you guys, these are very difficult questions. They're the kinds of questions in English composition. You would be given 40 marks, discuss. Yeah, and you must touch on all the angles. It's very nuanced. For the most part, most women know who the father is. This is why. The biological cycle for women is such that you get pregnant only within a certain time frame. Your menstrual cycle. You guys have heard of safe days and unsafe days. There are days when the woman is safe, and then there are days when she's not. Usually, those are plus 3 or 4 days in the middle of her cycle. If let's say her cycle is 28 days, then on day 14 kabisa, you are very likely to get pregnant if you sleep with a man on day 14. Then plus or minus 3 on both sides, depending on how long your period is anyway. You can also get pregnant. But then you are told by gynecologists that this thing is a game of chance, that you can never be 100% sure that you are safe. Because there are times when on that day you are okay, you are safe, but then those sperms stay in your body for a couple of days. They stay there for longer than you had thought. So when you eventually go and have sex, maybe 5 days later, the egg meets with those sperms, and voila, you have a baby, you get pregnant. So this cycle is not 100%. Somebody can say fully that they can't get pregnant at this time because there are those oops moments. However, for the most part, when you know you are not safe, then you go and sleep with someone. Usually, you can narrow it down to that. Yeah. This is assuming you don't have multiple partners. So if you have multiple partners, again, it depends on when you sleep with them. So if you sleep with them, let's say on the same day, if you have multiple sexual partners on the same day, and that is the day when you're not safe, then you will not know who the father is. But if you have multiple partners, but you had sex maybe on week 1 of your cycle, and then you had sex on week 4 of your cycle, then you can at least look and determine roughly who the father likely is. But for the most part, those kinds of women are, I don't think they're that common. But I could be biased. I could be thinking of myself. But actually, a woman who is sleeping with multiple men on the same day or in consecutive days, it's not as common. They are there nonetheless. They are there. I remember watching Paternity Court. It's a reality show in the States, and there was a lady who brought a certain guy to do the test. He did the test. He was not the father. It was negative. Then she suspected someone else. The guy came in. I remember he was walking so confidently and briskly. I was like, Connie, you already know something we don't. They did the test. He was not the father. So there was a third person who had not been identified by this woman. What it seems is like she had several guys. She was sleeping with several guys during that time frame. Because you see, when the child is born, you calculate backwards, 9 months backwards, you can tell which month, at least which month. You might not know which day specifically, but which month the baby was conceived. So during that month, ask yourself, which men did I sleep with? If there were several, then obviously you wouldn't know. But for the most part, I think many women know, and many women tend to space them out. So that's my answer to Stano's question. For the most part, majority of women know. There are a few exceptions who have multiple partners, or maybe she's even a sex worker. If she's a sex worker and she offers that service of not using protection, that could also occur. So that's how I would answer the question. On this one of the father who finds himself in a difficult situation where there are maybe 3 children, 2 happen to be his biologically, owing to the DNA test, and then 1 is not, and should he go ahead to cut ties? As I said, these questions are tough. It isn't black or white. Because now I'm thinking that child who is cut off will now face severe trauma from being separated from not just their siblings, but the person who they knew as their father for a very long time. It's kind of like with the stepchildren situation, where a man only goes and buys pizza for his blood children, and then the other stepchildren just watch. You know, it's kind of unkind, yeah, to do so. And I think for that particular child, the non-biological child, it will be very traumatizing to be separated from their siblings here. So there's that consideration. But with that said, it's not this man's obligation to go ahead and provide for someone who is not his. Maybe he's struggling. It's not easy bringing up kids these days. School fees is so expensive, medication, just being a father, just providing for children is so tough. And when you have 1 extra mouth to feed that isn't yours, I don't think you're obligated to stay on. What I would request the man is to consider maybe his financial situation, to move beyond the emotions, because I know the betrayal is so strong and you just want to punish this woman. But as you punish this woman, you are also punishing that child, especially if the father, the real father, the biological father, is not interested in taking care of the child. You might be lucky that they are, then maybe there you can cut ties without feeling guilty. But if the biological father is not interested, is not in the picture, or they don't even know who the biological father is, then beyond the hurt that you're feeling, I think you should consider the implications on this child. And if you've done it for many years and you are financially capable, you have some extra dime, I think you should consider, you could consider adoption then. You could consider adoption, taking on that child. That's how I would respond to those. So since everybody is asking questions, even me, I have a question to you guys. What are the circumstances that would necessitate a DNA test? I don't know whether that was in the list of questions. I don't think I saw it, but why would somebody ask for a DNA test? Thank you.
Thank you, Dorcas. If I may ask you a question. So, assume I'm married to this beautiful lady, and one day I decided to go for a DNA test. We go with the lady, me and the lady, we go to the DNA test. We are there with our kid. Me, wife, the kid. The DNA test comes out negative. So, whom should we blame? Should we blame the father or the mother? 1 minute.
Oh, Clinton, that was for me or generally for all? Okay, let me just assume it was for me if he said
For
1
you,
minute.
for you. It was for you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Who do we blame? Obviously, we blame the woman. Obviously, she's the one who is dishonest, she's deceitful. She went outside the marriage, if it is a marriage, or outside the relationship. She has implicitly broken a contract that you have in a monogamous relationship. This was not an open relationship. This was not a polyamorous relationship. You know, if it is polyamory, you should always be ready for paternal uncertainty. You should always know that that kid might never be yours because you have given your wife permission to sleep with many people. So in a polyamory, that is very different. But in a monogamous relationship, the moment you find out the child is not yours, it means that this woman was dishonest. She was unfaithful. She did not exercise fidelity towards you. She has literally broken the vessel of trust. Even if you try to put it back together, the cracks will still show. She's definitely to blame. She's definitely on the wrong in this case. My only concern was the children's welfare. That's where I was like, okay, let's still think twice. But in terms of who is wrong, definitely the woman. Definitely the woman. She was dishonest. She was even fraudulent, if I can say so.
Thank you. Anybody was sending to her? Anybody was sending to her?
And I asked a question. And I asked a question on why would somebody ask for a DNA test?
Okay. We look at your question. So if there's nobody, we go to the next subtopic. Building trust before and after paternity testing. You know, before you go for a DNA test, you have to involve your wife. You know, when I was doing my research, I found that most hospitals not allow, like me as a man, if I go with my gift for DNA test, they don't allow. You have to go with your wife. So you have to involve your wife before they give you the result. So that brings us to our next topic, building trust before. So how do you convince your wife for that DNA? And after the after the result maybe or post. So how do you build that trust before and after the test? You gotta give us a story if you know any story of any couple who had a paternity test, how they cope with that. So yeah, you can raise your hand if you have a point. Amia, I can give you a chance. That's why we come to Dorcas. Dorcas question. Yes, Dorcas, what was your question?
Why would somebody ask for a DNA test?
Yeah, that's why that's why the topic is here now. Now, why would somebody a DNA test? Now that's why our next topic is building a trust before and after. Before, why would you ask for that? Moriuki,
Okay, thanks, Clinton. I'm sorry I'm late. Okay, maybe I can ask Dorcas question. I remember when you were young, this were a couple. They used to have fights. They had 3 kids, and they used to fight a lot. So once the husband chased the wife out of the house, then she asked him, how do you know the kids? Are you sure they are yours? She asked that question when they were fighting. When she was out of the house, he pushed her out of the house. He chased her out. Then she asked him, are you sure the kids are yours? Something in such a case, there can be a test done. Thanks. Yeah, that's it.
thank you, Moriuki. Thank you, Moriuki, for the question. But Ileana, you can go.
Yeah, thank you, Clinton. So to answer the question, Dorcas's question, why would anyone ask for a DNA test? I have 2 reasons. One, now this is me. I know I'm being tough today, but I'm thinking that way today. Say I have come into some inheritance, me as a man. I've inherited, my dad has died and I've inherited 10 acres or a big company or etc. And I'm in the process of doing up the will now. I want to do up the will so I can distribute my property in case I pass on. I would be interested to know that these are my children. So then I would ask for a DNA test just to confirm. And it's just not to confirm because sometimes when people pass away, I don't know if it's still happening. All of a sudden, all these children come out of the woodwork. They want to inherit. I would ask for a DNA test just to make sure that the inheritance is actually going to the people that are supposed to inherit it. That's one reason. Another reason I'd be interested in doing a DNA test is from a health perspective. There are some diseases that are inherited and some are not, and some jump. And I would be interested to know if I had a particular kind of disease and if it's going to affect my offspring so that I can better prepare for them. So those are the 2 reasons I would ask for a DNA test. Well, of course, the third one, of course, is just to make sure that this woman, the wife, did not run around me, just to confirm. But mostly inheritance, I want to make sure that when I do my will, it's going to the right people. And number 2, if there are any life-changing type diseases we should be aware of right off the bat. Thanks.
Thank you, Julian. Dorcas,
Okay. So I'll answer my question first and then come to yours, Clinton. Why would somebody ask for a DNA test? I think Morioki captured one of my sentiments. A mother can sometimes blabber in the middle of a dispute. They're throwing pots and pans at each other. You stupid man, you don't even know whether that child is yours. So it is possible. And Clinton gave that example of the women who can be having two partners at a certain time, and then they get pregnant and they choose the man who is financially endowed and disregard the one who is poor, even though that might be the real father. That could be one situation. There are other situations where the man is ugly. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to use that mean word, but the man is so unattractive. I remember listening to Classic 105, and there was a lady who said she married a rich, ugly man. And the way she looked at that nose, she's like, there's no way I'm having a kid with this man. These features are usually very prominent. The kid will come out just like him. So she went and slept with an attractive guy, got pregnant by him, and then lied to this guy about it. Yeah, so she was dishonest in that respect. But overall, you can ask for a DNA test as a man when the woman blabbers, when it's in the middle of a dispute and she says something, or even other people start saying, they say maybe it's her sister, maybe it's her mother who tells you, that child is not even yours. So that could plant some doubt in you as a man, and you might request for the DNA test. That's one. Another one could be the child's features. I think if maybe you are, let's say you're black and the child looks mixed, they look like a pointee. Or maybe they're even an albino, and you have no albinos in your family lineage, and neither does your wife. So you're like, this is suspicious. Especially the race thing, where the child, the race looks, it looks fishy. You guys have seen those memes on social media where the parents are very black and then the child looks Chinese. And then they're like, we know who was serving tea to the Chinamen who are building Thika Road. So in such situations, I think somebody would become suspicious and they would ask for DNA test when the child's features are so different from his or from the mother's. Neither of you look like the child. It looks very suspicious. In fact, that paternity court, most of the babies used to look white, yet the parents were black. So the guy was like, I know, I got played here. There's no way this can be my child. And sometimes it would surprise you that the child would wind up being his. So it's not a given that when your child looks very different from either of you, that they are not yours, but it could be a reason. It could warrant it. Number 3 is the issue of court-mandated DNA testing. That is, if you need to pay child support after you have divorced, or even if you are not married but you need to support the child, the court can mandate that you do a DNA test to be sure that that child is yours, because these are legal obligations for the next 18 years. So yeah, in that case, that is obvious. And then what Juliana said, of course, inheritance. If there's some property that will be inherited, and somebody is claiming, I am a child of so-and-so, I am William Ruto's son. Somebody has come from the woodwork and claimed that. Hey, you can't just take their word for it. You've got to do a DNA test to confirm that this is the case. Then there's also separation between the couple. So there are times when somebody is working. Maybe they are in the military, or they are a diplomat, a career diplomat, and they move from country to country. They're never with their partner for long periods of time. Those could give you many opportunities to cheat. They could give the wife many opportunities to cheat. You've been away for most of the year. Maybe you're fighting in Afghanistan. You've come back after 3 years. How can you be sure? And then now when you come back, your wife gets pregnant. So in that situation, you just want to be sure by doing a DNA test. That it could be that separation because of work, or it could be that you guys broke up at some point. You were together, then you broke up, and then now you're back together. Yeah, and maybe when now you're back together, she's pregnant. So you can't be sure that she got pregnant during that time when you were together or during that time when you are apart. So I think it behooves you to clarify it by getting it tested. I think those are the situations that I've come up with. I don't know whether you guys have others. On the second question that Clinton asked, how do you build trust before a DNA test when you want to request a DNA test? I think trust and DNA tests are not compatible. They are mutually exclusive. Just by the fact that you've asked for a DNA test, it means you don't trust this person. You have to be willing to sacrifice the aspect of trust in a relationship. There's no building trust there. The fact that you have looked at her and seen you could have lied to me. This might not be mine. It just shows you don't trust your spouse. So I don't see any way out of it. Before the DNA test, I don't see any way out of it. After the DNA test, I think maybe you guys can consider counseling, but you don't have to be together. If the DNA test comes out negative, you don't have to stay together. I think I would break up with that person immediately. I would only consider maybe the welfare of the child after, but I wouldn't bother with that person after, because she's a fraud, she's a scammer. If I find out after that the test is negative. But if the test is positive, how to build trust after is I think through counseling. I think you need to ask yourself, what is it that made me suspicious of her? And you guys need to work on your communication, on your openness and your bonding afterwards, because your relationship will still be fractured. Even if the test is positive, it will still be fractured after the DNA test. Thank you.
Okay, Dorcas, thank you. But I have a question for you. You may answer me. You've said if I ask for a DNA test from my partner, that means that I don't trust. So I'm asking you this: to remove this thing of her not trusting, should we make this DNA testing be compulsory? At first, if I have a wife at first, when she has given birth, I should come out with my kid, my wife, at the DNA test. Should we make this DNA compulsory? Should DNA be compulsory?
Yes. In my case, I support compulsory DNA testing. I think it would automatically eliminate the notion of mistrust, because it's a prerequisite. If everybody is doing it, then my husband does not have to carry that burden of suspicion whenever he requests for it, because it is done by everybody. So yes, I support compulsory DNA testing.
Thank you, Dorcas, for that. Thank you, Dorcas, for that. Moriuki, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I want to ask, how can you be sure about if it's accurate, the accuracy of the DNA? How can you be sure that it was done the right way? And also, can DNA be ever be the same as a layman between two people? Just I'm asking as a layman, can it be the same between two people? And how are you sure it's accurate? Thanks.
Thank you, Moriuki, for that. And Dave, you can go on and answer Moriuki what he has asked.
Moriuki, DNA right now is tried and tested. In fact, science is past the identification for just fatherhood's sake alone. It is now gone beyond in finding diseases and oh yeah, it's gone beyond that. That one is sure. It is sure. In fact, it is so sure that it will tell you 99.99%. That in science is something else, that you are the father. But because they will be saying that they've looked at maybe 100,000 people. I forget the number. I would have to go and take a look at the number, that they will have looked at a lot of people, and you are 99.99%. So, Muriuki, rest assured, if you go to test, rest assured. Now, we are not talking about shenanigans, and the shenanigans is another thing. Science cannot protect us against shenanigans. If there are shenanigans that go on in the lab, or carelessness, that's not science. That's just somebody being either stupid or something, doing some shenanigans. Amelipwa, they've been paid to say mtoto wa Muriuki when they are not. Okay, so that is not what we are talking about. We are saying that the test itself is good. It's good. It is reliable. Now, I'm going to say that another reason that DNA might have to be done is when it is in court. You have got there's a child support issue that you are saying that, okay, yeah, you need to pay me. Don't pay me, $200. Like pay me $1 million every month and that kind of thing. This person says that no. But first of all, before I pay you $1 million, is it even my child? That kind of thing. And when you are in court, the court is going to say, they say, do you want a DNA? Are you ready to have a DNA? And the person that says they want a DNA, they're going to have to pay for it. So, and then the court can say, yeah, you go and pay her $1 million or whatever. It's not arbitrary. They look at your income, and it's only on income. It's not based on your investments, or it's just based on income. Okay, income wise, pay this much for this person. Yeah. So yeah, this much of your salary should go to the child, or to support the child. Yeah. So I'm going to ask a question. This might be a little bit off, but I'm saying that, so you be that child who is being tested, whose DNA is being tested. Although sometimes the kids are a little young. Okay, let's say that you are being tested and you are mature, and it is about inheritance. Okay, so you are being tested and you are old enough to know. So they are testing for inheritance, and you find that is not your father. Okay, so what you feel? What about you? What do you think about that? Thank you.
I didn't get the question. Sorry, David. Sorry, I didn't get the question. Just repeat, please. Thanks.
Okay, I will repeat. So for the example that Juliana gave why she would want DNA testing done was that now this is a father at a certain age, and they are doing this so that their property will be inherited by the blood, will go to the blood, to the real blood. So let us say we are here where we are the children of the same father, and we get tested, and some of us find that we don't belong to that father. So maybe me and Muriuki, we don't belong to that father, but Dorcas and Juliana and the Black Messiah and Pastor Stano, they are the children, the biological children of that guy. So what do you feel if you are one of those children that do not belong to your father, the person that you've always considered as your father? What do you feel? What about that? Thank you. Is that clear, Muriuki?
Yes, it is. Thank you. It is. Yeah, thanks. It is.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Ndeve. Dorcas.
Okay, I want to give a tip, a bonus tip to people concerning this topic about DNA testing. Then I will answer David's question, and I will also leave with another question towards the end. So my bonus tip is how to tell that a child is not yours without doing a DNA test. Because we all know DNA tests are expensive. Right now, it is around between 15,000 to 20,000. Last year, there were rumors going around that it is 800 shillings. Kumbe, that was a lie. It's just the kit. To purchase the sampling kit where you put in the saliva, that was the 800. But you still need to take it to a lab somewhere like KEMRI, and you still need to pay 20,000 shillings. So most Kenyans can't afford DNA tests. They don't have the money. Yeah. But arguably, I think it's very difficult for you to invest in a child for 18 years simply because you can't look for 15 to 20,000 shillings for a DNA test. I think if I were a man who is unsure about paternity, I would rather look for Black Messiah. Please mute. We are getting feedback from you. Thank you. Yeah. So I think if I was a man who was unsure about my paternity and I'm poor, I don't have money, I would rather go and hustle. I would rather even sell some of my assets, my furniture or whatever, until I get that 15,000 and confirm that the child is mine, instead of not doing the test and being forced to take care of that child for the rest of his or her minor life, 18 years, 0 to 18 years. I think it's an investment worth making. But there are some people who just don't have that money. They're living from day to day, from nose to mouth. So such people, there are some rudimentary ways. They're not fail-safe. They're not like DNA tests. Oh, and to answer Morioki's question, how certain are DNA tests? They're very certain. It's oh my gosh, it's a very sure thing, unless there's sabotage. As we said, somebody can be corrupted and stuff like that, unless there's sabotage. So how do you guard against sabotage? Verification, just the way we do it in peer review. In the scientific method, how we guard against fraud is through peer review, that several people look at the experiment, other people replicate the experiment to make sure that it is true. So it's the same with the DNA test. You don't have to go with that one DNA test that was done in that one lab. You can, and you don't have to go with the lab that was chosen by the woman. You can go. You can choose another lab and do it a second time.
Look, yes? It can never, ever be the same, man. Never, ever, be the same between two people. Never, ever,
No.
As a layman, never, ever.
It is a fingerprint. Your DNA is a fingerprint. It is unique to you. That is how we've been able to use it in the criminal justice system. If your DNA is found at a crime scene, it is you. It is Morioki's DNA. It can never be Morioki's twin or Morioki's close brother, father. No, your DNA is uniquely yours. So it's very fail-safe. The only issue is now this other. Okay.
Thanks. Okay.
Yeah. So I was telling you guys how can you estimate the paternal certainty of a child without doing a DNA test if you don't have money. As I said, these methods are rudimentary. Maybe they can give you like 30% certainty, while DNA is almost 100. It's 99.9999% accurate. So one of them is, of course, the date of conception. Just look at the time when the lady says she got pregnant. Were you guys together at that time? If you are not, obviously that child is not yours. Yeah, that child is not yours. Look at when she conceived. Usually that is determined in hospital when she's going for antenatal care if she's pregnant. But if she doesn't, and now the baby is born, you can just calculate back to 9 months before. Were you guys together? Maybe you guys had not even met 9 months before. So that automatically eliminates you as the father. The date of conception, that's one. Another one is through blood types. There are certain blood types that are unique. I wish I wish Dr. Luceveleli was here. He would have explained it well. But there are certain blood types that they just cannot come from you as a father. If you are this blood type, there's usually the universal donor and the universal recipient. I can't explain it very well because I've forgotten that science, but there are certain blood types that automatically eliminate you. You can't be the father if the child has this blood type. So you can do your research on that to find out. And of course, another one is the issue of race. Is the issue of race in that if the child looks distinctly like a member of another race, and the both of you belong to the black race, and this one looks like they're Chinese or they're Indian, and don't work with the first early days. I think babies look very generic and very similar when they are young, when they're infants. Here we are talking of a child who's slightly older, maybe they're like a toddler, around their 2 years, 1 year, and that child looks white. You know, they look white or they look Chinese, and you guys are black. That could be a reason to suspect. Of course, it's not 100%. You might have a great grandmother from China. And maybe she also had some foreign genes, and somehow they came together to create this very different looking child. But I think in terms of race, that one is usually a red light. Yeah. So those are the bonus tips. Those are some of the rudimentary ways. As I said, maybe they can give you like 20% certainty. They are very rudimentary. The surefire method is DNA. Just go for the test. Just save up for it. Even borrow money from your family, from your relatives, or whatever, to just be sure if you're uncertain. That's a tip I wanted to give. Now, on the question that Deve asked of how would I feel if I was the child who discovered that my father is not mine? Wow. I think that would be heartbreaking. I think it would create more questions than answers, because now I would be eager to find out who is my real father. And of course, it depends on the age of this child. If they're still a minor, then there's only so much that they can do at that age. But if they are older, if they're an adult, then it is actually up to you to decide on whether you want you want to remain ignorant of who your biological father is, or whether you want to know who they are and whether you want to have a relationship with them. Because there's always the possibility that your biological father doesn't care and he's not interested. He's not interested in having a relationship with you. So you might go through the pains of looking for him. Maybe he's somewhere deep in Transnzoia, or somewhere in Marsabit. You go looking for him, and then he's just not interested. It's even now twice as heartbreaking. So that could never be a good place to be emotionally and psychologically. To answer Deve, I think me personally, if I still have a relationship, if my now we would call him an adoptive father, if my adoptive father wants to maintain a relationship with me, then I'll just continue. I won't go looking for that biological father who was never involved in my life to begin with, because I think fatherhood is much more than genes. I think fatherhood, a father is somebody who raises you. They're not just somebody who donated a sperm for you. That's how I would respond. Last question now.
Yes, Dorcas. It was in the case where there is a father in place. There is a father. I should have stated that in the beginning that, okay, you have got this father here, and then all of a sudden you find that this is not biological, but has been the father. Yes, thank you.
Wait, Neve, you're saying which father is in place? The biological one or the adoptive one?
The adoptive one has been in place.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah, the adoptive one has been in place, but then 20 years later, you find, oh, no. So, yeah, so yes, you've answered the question.
Great. Yeah. And in case there's something that needs a father, like let's say it's a wedding, you are one of those traditional people that believe in being walked down the aisle by the father. Personally, I don't subscribe to that notion. Like if I had a wedding, I wouldn't want that tradition, because to me it's just symbolizing you being handed over from your father to your husband as property. I wouldn't want that. But if there's somebody who has those traditional leanings and they have a wedding, they need to decide who will walk them down the aisle, I would go for my adoptive father, because that's the person who has raised me. This biological man, he has not done anything except donate his sperm. So yeah, that's what I would say. Now, finally, I have a question for guys on the issue of consent. I think Clinton brought it up a bit. What do we know about consent for DNA testing? Consent from the child as well as consent from the mother. What do we know about consent? What is the role of consent in DNA testing? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dorcas. Moriuki.
Doctors, are you asking if they should both agree or something? Do you mean that they should agree? Or what do you mean, Doctors?
Yes. What is the role of consent in DNA testing? What do you know?
Okay, at the top of my head, I think both of you should agree. There should be an agreement between the both of you, not going behind somebody's back. That's my view. You both agree, then it's done, instead of going behind someone's back. I don't know, does that make sense?
Yes, it does, Moroki, but I'm wondering,
Yeah.
do you think that's giving women so much power, because there are many women who just refuse. They refuse to give you consent to do the DNA test, but yet
Yeah.
they would expect you to continue your paternal obligations.
Now, see,
Should
that is now.
should you just continue to pay school fees for a child who you suspect is not yours? She even blabbered, you fought and she told you, do you even know for sure this child is yours? No, she blabbered, she said some things that made you suspicious, but she's refused to give consent. Should you just
Now,
continue?
Now, see, the court will come in. The court has to come in there, Ama. If she refuses, you take legal action.
That is only if, Morioki, that is only if you have divorced.
Oh, okay.
If you've divorced and now child support is on the table, that's when the court will come in. But if you're married, the court doesn't come in.
That's it'll be tricky. If she says no now, what do you do now? If she refuses, what will you do?
Exactly. That's a conundrum.
And then Ndeve's question, Ndeve, I think I'll look for my real father personally. I'll want to know who my real father is. If he's not interested, too bad. But I'll look for my real father. So thanks.
Thank you, Mariuki. Julian.
Back to consent, Dorcas. I would go behind somebody's back, especially if I'm in a marriage situation and we've had that quarrel or something suspicious has come up and I know, or she doesn't agree to go, I would go behind their back, seriously. Because at the end of the day, I am looking after myself and my offspring. So if I don't want to offend either husband or wife, or usually the wife. So me as a husband, I don't want to offend my wife by going behind her back. So therefore, I'm going to raise all these kids for the rest of their lives because I do not want to offend my wife because she's refused to go to a DNA. So I'll easily tell her this. I'll say, you know what? We had that quarrel the other day. And right now, I've got trust issues because of what you say to me. I would really, really love us to move beyond this point. But just to make sure that you did not mean what you said, I am asking you to trust in the process, and I'm asking you, let's go for the DNA once and for all. That will confirm that you were just joking when we had the fight. I would say that. And if she says no, I would still go ahead because I have to protect myself, especially if it happens that she was right, that those kids don't belong to me. And if she was a trustworthy person, a woman, and it was in the heat of the moment that came out, then she should say, you know what? Yes, I said something bad to gain back the trust of my husband. Let's go do the DNA. However, if she doesn't, me as a husband, I would totally go ahead and do it behind her back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Julia. I want us to go to the next topic. Surprise outcomes. Surprise outcomes may be negative, they may be positive. So when it's negative, what do you do? So like, yeah, I want us to talk about the surprise outcome. How DNA changes family dynamic. Okay. So Ndeve, I'm on Ndeve, man. Okay. The surprise.
Yes.
Okay.
That will throw a lot of people into a kind of a loop because all the time the expectation had been, you are my brother, you are my sister, you are my father, you are my mother. By the way, they do DNA. When they do DNA, they do both mother and father. And it could become a case of you are not just looking for your mother, you are also looking for your father, because it could turn out that this DNA, this is neither your mother, that's not neither your father. But on a better, let us say on a better grounding, it could be just, it is the father. Because if it is both the mother and the father, then you are going back to hospitals to find what really happened. So if the man finds that this is not his child. Now, let me also go back a little bit that I'm going to say in Ukambani. Mtoto, a child is usually told that uko mjinga kama mamako. Nobody ever tells a child that uko mjinga kama babake. So it then means that when you grow up and you are not just that much mjinga, then you are sharp like your father. Now, if you are not thrown into a loop that after all, you are not your father's child, and this father had thought that you are clever like your father, or rather than the father confirms that, oh God, no wonder huyu mtoto alikuwa mchinga hivyo, si mtoto wangu. It throws the whole family, grandmother, grandfather, everybody. It just messes up everything. So as we go into DNA and as we go into science, you have to know that you might find anything. You might find that this child that you thought you were doubting si mtoto wako, you find that ni mtoto wako. And the ones that you thought were watoto wako, you find that they are the ones. What they are going to do, what are you going to do? So when we go into that, I think probably that is where a lot of counseling comes in before the testing, because you cannot say what you are going to expect, because you are testing because of doubts, or you are testing because of court, and the only person that knows is the mother. So you are testing because of those things. So you have to be ready. You have to be prepared for what comes out of it. And the children are going to be in a mess one way or the other. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, David. So I don't know where we were. Separate outcome when the DNA testing just how DNA testing changes the family dynamic. So like in this topic, I wanted us to discuss, like me, I have a family. My daughter now is turning 4 years. 4 years, 4 years old. I've known my daughter for since she was very young. So I've raised her. But then me, I've never connected anything. So I've raised her. She's like she's turning 3 years. This coming October, she's turning 3 years. So what if I change my mind? Like I say, tomorrow I want to go for DNA, and then the DNA test comes out negative. Like, how does that change my family? Family dynamic. How does that change my family dynamics? Okay.
Okay. Before I even answer that question, I remembered one thing that I had skipped on why DNA tests are necessary. I think there are cases of adoption. Somebody might be adopted and they don't know whether they don't know who their biological parent is. Yeah. So in those cases, you might need a DNA test in order to investigate, in order to find who your father is. But of course, that means locating where that person is. The one you suspect is your father. There could be cases of adoption. Then there could also be cases of confusion in the hospital. You gave birth and then they mixed up the kids. This is very rare, but it happens. Very rare, but it happens. Case in point was the Kakamega twins. During I think the late 2010s, there was a case of some two girls from Kakamega who found themselves on. One was from Kakamega actually. One was from Kakamega. The other one was from a place in Nairobi, a slum in Nairobi. I forget the name of the slum. And they found each other on Facebook. They noticed that they looked so alike. They were so similar. Everything, even the way they smile, even the interest they have, everything was so alike. And they were like, oh my gosh, we must be related. And not just related distantly, we might be twins because they were so alike. And they organized and met. After meeting, the mothers talked about where they gave birth from the hospital. It was the same for both the girls. So it was established later that there was a switch. Imagine there was a mother who gave birth to twins, another mother who gave birth to twins, and then one of each set of twins was exchanged. Yeah. So that's what happened. And the DNA test confirmed that those two girls were twins. So sometimes you need it when there's a mix-up in hospital and a situation like that arises. But sometimes you will never know. You will never know. Maybe you don't have twins. So you'll never know that that child is not yours. Yeah. Sometimes maybe until it's too late, maybe there's a need for an organ donation or a blood donation, and then the blood is incompatible. So you're like, how can this child have this blood type? And then you do the DNA test and realize this is not my child. As a mother, you're like, oh my gosh, what happened? I thought she was my child. I carried her in my womb for 9 months, kumbe. There was a mix-up at the hospital. So I had to bring that out, especially those Kakamega twins. Now, on Clinton's question, how do you pick up the pieces after surprise outcomes from a DNA test? I think this one goes back to, okay. So we have to consider this issue from two perspectives. We have to consider the issue from the child's perspective, and then we have to consider it from the couple's perspective. So from the child's perspective, I am more humanitarian in my take, in my opinion, because I think if you have been taking care of this child for many years, now like with Clinton, you're telling us you've done it for 4 years and you've bonded with the child, you care about the child. I think you could consider the child's welfare. If you have the resources, if you don't mind, you can continue. You can consider even adopting the child. However, that is only contingent on the fact that their father is not interested. Let's say their biological father is known. Let's say the mother knows who the biological father is, and you contact the biological father, and the biological father is not interested in raising the child. I think the child's welfare should be considered because they are victims in this case. But if the father is interested, the biological father is capable, and they're like, yes, I'm willing to take care of the child, and your resources are constrained, then yeah, by all means, you can cut the ties and it ends there. That is for the child. For your spouse, honestly, I think once trust is broken, it can never be recovered. It's like a vessel. Yes, you can try and put back the pieces together, but the cracks will always be there. I'm of the opinion that divorce is a blessing. If somebody could lie to you for all these years about such an important issue, how can I continue to trust her after that? How can I do investments with her if I'm assuming I'm a man here. How can I continue to do investments with her? How can I continue to count on her to be my next of kin and all that? Because this is a very selfish person. What's the foundation of our relationship? Why should we continue? Honestly speaking, if I found out that the results are negative, it's over. It's a wrap between me and her. It's a wrap. As a man, I would just end it. Hakuna kitu ya kusalvage hapo. But for the child, I'm a bit more lenient. I'm a bit more soft because I think children are victims of this dishonesty. So I would weigh the options. I would consider all the dynamics of the baby daddy, blah, 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 and also my resources. Yeah, that's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorcas. So I wanted to ask you this question. Like, before we get married, before I marry a lady, it's a relationship. You have to have a relationship, then we get married. After we get married, so I wanted to ask this question. So after I marry you, I've married you because I love you and because you love me. So when do you change your mind? Like, man, I don't love this man. I want somebody else to love me. Like I want somebody else to have my kid. So as we go to the next topic, which is the role of modern technology in fatherhood and relationship. So how does DNA testing and digital tools how do they reshape traditional concepts and fatherhood and trust? You know, yeah, we look at traditional and the modern. In traditional, I used to have one father. Men are polygamous in nature. Men are polygamous in nature. Like a man can marry a lot of wives. So a father, is one. You have only one father. Like now in modern society, we have so many. Like in modern society, we can have a child can have so many fathers. That's why a child can have a father, a biological father, and a social father. So in this topic, I want us to look between the difference between a biological father and a social father. Social father, we have stepfathers, adoptive fathers. So those I want us to look at those both of those. how they affect the child, and that's it. What do you?
Thanks, Clinton. Can I ask you a personal question? Yeah, now, are you sure your daughter, are you confident? Am you're suspicious sometimes, or you're confident?
I'm confident because we look alike.
Look alike. Okay. I was just saying, in case you're suspicious, you can just do a test. If you're suspicious, you can just do a test. But if you're confident, fine. So then I was saying that I know somebody who had a girlfriend, then he had a kid. Then he found out that the kid wasn't his. So he was so depressed. He went to live with his friend, a friend of mine. He got so depressed when he found out that the kid wasn't his. So he went to live with his friends. So at times the effects can be devastating when you know the kid isn't yours. So thanks.
Okay, thank you, Morioki. Yeah. Anybody who wants the answer can raise the hand. As I continue to talk, I was talking in the role of modern technology in fatherhood and relationship. So in this topic, I wanted us to look at the DNA testing and digital tools, how they are reshaping the fatherhood and the trust. Like, the reason why we go for DNA testing is because I want to know if my kid is related to me. Is he related to me? Does she have my gene? Does she or he have my gene? That's why we go for DNA. So I want us to talk about the traditional concepts and the modern concept. How do they live? If you have a if you have a if you have something to say, you can raise your hand. Yeah, the biological fatherhood. I want to know the difference between biological fatherhood and the social fatherhood. Those two. What's the difference between biological fatherhood and the social fatherhood? Social fatherhood, you have the stepfathers. If my wife, no, I don't. My wife, we don't stay together. So if he decides to marry another man, like how do we co-parent between the stepfather and me and the wife? So how do we? Yeah, Dorcas.
Wow, those are very weighty questions. Okay. What's the difference between the biological and social father? I think a biological father is simply the sperm donor, is the person you slept with to create this human being. And sometimes a sperm donor can even be gotten anonymously. You don't know who the person is, but you visited a fertility clinic and you got that donation from them. They didn't want their identity disclosed, so sometimes it can be anonymous. And that is common among lesbian couples or among couples that have an infertile husband. The husband is infertile, but he wants a kid, so you go and look for a sperm donor, and they're anonymous. So yes, the biological father is just that. He just contributed his sperm. It has nothing to do with real fatherhood. I think a father is somebody who is present. A father is someone who instills their values in you. They are someone who takes care of you, and they also provide for you. I take issue with how narrowly we define fatherhood in the African context, because we usually just limit it to providing. As long as the father provides, that's it. Story Quisha. I think it should be expanded. I think more fathers should be hands-on. They should be more involved in their children's lives. I think you should play with your children. I think you should be involved in their schoolwork. You should supervise their homework. You should know who their friends are. There's a meme going around on Father's Day. Why is it that people don't celebrate Father's Day? And that meme was showing men who are being asked by, let me call her a reporter, or the content creator. They were asking a father, a mother, and a kid. They would stop families randomly in the street, and then they would ask the father, what is your child's doll called, if the child is within that age for playing with dolls? What is your child's best friend's name? What is what is the name of their school teacher? Yeah, their class teacher, sorry. What's the name of their class teacher? What is their favorite color? What is their favorite food? Men could not answer those questions. They couldn't. They don't know their kids. Then when they asked the mothers got all the answers correct. Answers, all of them, they got them correct. Why? Because women are hands-on when it comes to parenting. While men, especially African men, they've been raised to just provide. I'm just there. I provide. I give the child my name. I'm called Black Messiah, so my child will be Messiah. That's it. Job done. No. I think it needs to be much more. So to me, a social father or a real father is somebody who does all that, who participates in their child's life. They go to school on Parents' Day. They know who their kid's best friend is. They know what their child likes to eat. They know what pieces of their child. They are there. They are present. Yeah. So that's my answer to question 1. Question 2. What was question 2? Technology, right?
Question 2 was the role of modern technology in fatherhood and relationship.
Okay. I think modern technology has added the element of indecision. Okay, it's a two-edged sword in that now women don't have ultimate power like they used to in the past. It was the woman to just declare that this child is his and it will go. Yeah, back in the day. But now, because of modern technology, because of DNA testing, women no longer hold that authority on parenting. Men can take charge by confirming paternity through DNA tests. So it has tilted that power imbalance in that respect. But then it has also perpetuated family instability, because now when the DNA test is done and it is established that the child is not yours, it can interrupt the family and it can deny this child a parent, a father. So it is a two-edged sword. It's been a blessing in that it is now protecting men from being ripped off by women. And it has also caused instability, especially for the children, because I still hold the view that children are victims. So a child can lose a parent thanks to the DNA test. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Dorcas, if I may ask you, assume you're a man. Would you rather be a stepfather? You know, a stepfather is someone who marries a lady with a kid, or somebody who marries a lady without a kid, then after some time you realize that this kid is not mine. So who would you rather be? Stepfather or the
Definitely a stepfather, because there's no deceit involved. I know exactly what I'm getting into. I've done my calculations and I have realized that I'm okay with the role of being a stepfather. But this other one, this other one involves deceit. Yeah. And the breaking of trust. So I think that one would be horrible. It would literally remove the carpet from under my feet. I'd prefer the former than the latter. Yeah.
thank you. The next subtopic is legal and ethical consideration of DNA test relationships. So here we are talking about the legal, legal is law. How does that affect the father and the mother? So let's say that it's something that is to be inherited. I'm a father, I'm rich, I have something to be inherited. So how does that affect us? Like me, I have a kid here, I have a kid, I have a wife. I found out that this kid is not mine. So the kid, how does that affect this kid? So you can raise your hand if you have a point. The legal and ethical consideration of DNA testing in relationship. Anybody who wants, anybody? So yeah, do we go to the next subtopic? David?
Yeah, as we said, it goes both ways. If I'm the father, or have been there as a social father, and then we go testing and we find that I'm not the biological father, so I might save myself from taking care of this kid from, let's say we did the testing at 5 years, from 5 years to 18 years, I might save myself that bother. But I might also miss out on what this young lady or this young man will be in the future. I mean, we do not know the future. I'm not saying that he will be anything or he will be a doctor that will cure all heart issues, but it is both ways. You will not have to take care of them, then you can say good riddance, but you will not be part of whatever success or even failures that this kid will go through. So if they go through failures, you might say, yeah, I knew it because it was not my child. But if they are successful, you will be thinking, oh, wow, maybe it is because of those good 5 years that I gave this kid. See, so I think a father, whether biological or social, has to think very deeply. Of course, it's painful. I think it is very painful, the cheating and all that. And we know if men could get pregnant, and that's not the topic today. If men could get pregnant, the world would be full of people. We'll have bigger population. That's not the conversation today. So all we are saying is the jilted fathers have to think very deeply. It's a very painful thing, but the jilted fathers have to think deeply about their situation as a father, whether biological or social. Thank you.
Clinton, you're muted. You're muted.
Okay, thank you, David. So I like the way you say that if all men were to be pregnant. So in this thing of paternity, do we blame the men or the women? Like if I'm married to a woman, we get our firstborn, then after some 3 to 4 years, I found out that this kid is not mine. So whom do I blame? Do I blame myself or do I blame the child? David, 1 minute.
You know you could be to blame. Maybe you neglected her, and she found herself cold and feeling unwanted. By the way, somebody said, and I think we have known this for a long time, it's easier to court a married woman than single women. Go figure that. Because the married woman is more beat down than the single girl. The single girl is like, go away if you. And the married woman is like, my husband, the kind of names he calls me. Sometimes anakuja anatoka kwa mpango wake wa kando and all that. So it has been found out that it is easier to court or to go in bed with a married woman. So think about that. What is that the married woman has that the unmarried doesn't have? A husband. What is going on? What's going on, Clinton? so, so, let's one day we should have that conversation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, David. So you have talked. The first topics were about negative. So the next topic, from 6 to 10, I want to talk about the positive. So the next topic is from doubt to certainty. How do you rebuild them? How do you build the trust in the decision? So like, from doubt to certainty, how do you rebuild their trust in the relationship? So like, let's say you've gone for DNA test, you've found the kid is not yours, or is yours. So from there, how do you build that relationship? How do you build the relationship? From the first time, like we talked from the first time, you have to confuse your wife before you go for DNA. You have to confuse her. I want us to go for that DNA. So you have gone for DNA test, it has come back, it's a negative, which you have said. If it's a negative, you can walk away or you say to. So what about if it's positive? So how do you build that? How do you build in the relationship? Like your wife, your wife may say that, man, you never believed in me. You never give me this chance. So how do you build the trust?
Is it my turn, Clinton? Can I go? Okay, I'll assume it was my turn. So how do you build trust? I guess it depends on the circumstances that led to you asking for the DNA testing. So if the reason why she agreed to go for a DNA test was because of that fight that we had, and where she said, oh, even that child is not mine. So then that way the trust can be built. So first of all, she realized she should not be talking like that because you take her up on it. Second of all, simple conversation, maybe by yourselves or with a counselor saying, okay, look, you were angry, you said this, I had to make sure that you were not kidding or joking. Therefore, we went for a DNA test, and thank you very much for agreeing to do that so that we can literally rule out the fact that this is my child. And so I totally trust you right now. Let's start from there. We had a quarrel. You said something. We went and proved it. So let's start from there. Let's start trusting. I think that's probably an easier way of building the trust, because now you trust her. Now you say, well, no, actually, no, I will not trust her because now she lied to me about a very big thing because she was angry. So we have to work around our anger issues and how we communicate when we are angry so we don't get into this situation again. If, on the other hand, I, as the husband, I was suspicious that she's sleeping around when I was away traveling, therefore I asked for DNA, and she agreed, funny enough, or maybe she didn't agree, but I got the DNA test. That's a very difficult, from my point of view, I think that'll be very difficult to build back the trust without a lot of counseling and hard work on both parties. Either way, it is tough. Both parties have to work at it. Say, we are committed to this relationship, we want it to go forward. And so let's seek counseling, let's trust each other, let's seek communication, etc., etc. I think that's what I would say to that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Julian. We go to the next. From the next topic, I want us to look for fatherhood beyond biology. Fatherhood beyond biology. So I want in the subtopic, I want us to look at the role of nature and emotional bonding. I want us to explore how fatherhood is defined by more than just genetic. No, we were raised to know that my father, we are rated. My father, somebody were rated by him. So what about the stepfather? How do we the fathers, the adapt fathers, somebody can adapt it. So how does that happen? Like how does the father move from there? So in this topic, I want us to look at how fatherhood is defined by more than like just genetics. Fatherhood is just if you're my father, we are rated by genetics. So what if you're not rated? What if you are my stepfathers? What should be the what should be the father? What should he do? Ericus? Ericus?
I think we've answered that question, Clinton. You had asked us before on what's the difference between a biological father and a social father. I think it's the same, and I had answered it. Yeah.
So do we go to the next topic?
I don't know how you are going because because even 8 we answered unless it's 9. Co-parenting and blended families, 9 we haven't, and 10 we haven't. Preparing for the conversation, how to discuss DNA testing with your partner. Yeah, only 9 and 10, but 8 we have answered, 7 we have answered.
Okay, then we go to tonight, the impact of DNA testing on co-parenting and blended families. So yeah, I want us to talk about the paternity testing and trust issues in the complex family structures. Yeah, so if you want to speak, you can raise your hand. Hello. Impact of DNA testing. Yeah.
I didn't get the question. Just repeat, please. I didn't get the question. Sorry.
The impact of DNA testing on the co-parenting and the blended families. The impact of DNA testing. So like here we mean if the DNA results comes out negative, what that does impact on the co-parent, and if it becomes positive, how does that impact the co-parent? Yeah.
Yeah, like I think I gave the example earlier of my friend. He was so devastated. He went to live with a friend, another friend. I mentioned earlier. He was so shocked that the child wasn't his, so he moved out to live with a friend, just to get over the shock. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. Thanks. Okay.
Thanks, Maria. Thanks, Maria. Anybody? Anybody? Okay. Because to our final subtopic. How do you prepare for
Yes, what I see sometime here, I don't know why it is so easily accepted, why blended families are so easily accepted, because I don't know. I would have thought that in Africa we would more easily accept blended families. Now, I know that in Ukambani, women, particularly if you have daughters, it was easy to get married to another person, second, third wife. You get married to another person, and they raise your children, your daughters, as theirs. Sons is always another story for another day. So I find here that there's a lot of divorcing and there's a lot of remarrying. Some people have been remarried like 7 times, 6 times. You don't easily find somebody that is unmarried and that's not actively looking. So they are willing to blend even their grown-up children, their younger children into another family. Men and women, they're willing to blend their children. So the man that is looking actively to marry and finds a woman that already has children, he is willing to stepfather those children. The same thing with the mother, that they are willing to stepmother those children. I'm not saying that it's the easiest thing, because there's acceptance and there's all that, but I think that it is just going to be a fact of our current lifestyle because of the high divorce rates. Not everybody out there is going to accept a stepmother, because that means something that, hey, you think about our mother or whatever. But I was talking to my neighbor, and they have stepsisters. He's the only product from his parents. The others are step sisters. And when it came to writing a will, the father said everybody is going to be split equally. Even if the others are step children, they are going to get part of my inheritance. First, the son said that he was a little unhappy about it, but when he came to think about it, his sisters came to the family very young. His mother has been working and contributing to the family. So why would you not give them equally? Why should they not share equally in that blended family? It just makes sense. So I think he came around. His wife too came around to looking at it. I think she was looking at it differently, which I understand. But they had to come around to accepting the reality. And then the other neighbor just got married, has a grown son, found this guy with grown children and she expects her son to inherit, and was surprised when she was told that no, only my sons will inherit. And she could not believe. And everybody's telling her, well, you are just a housekeeper, just leave. But I'm saying, listen, you just arrived. Why are you talking about inheritance? You just arrived. You haven't even contributed anything yet. Don't you think that you should go in and contribute to the income or to the investments and to this family before? And she has her own things, so I do not know why she's so stuck on, because she's saying that in China she would be inheriting. And I'm thinking, you're in Canada. You expect that person to neglect his two older sons and take you in, and you know, they don't, it's a bit complicated. So in these blended families, I think we have to consider who has for 20, 30 years been building the wealth with the first husband. Let us just say the first husband. So I think that, yes, all those things have to be considered. And I don't mind, you can blend any number of people as far as I'm concerned. The more the merrier, you know, the more you have, probably the better. If you can blend all those people, it means that you are doing something right. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Julian?
Okay, so David, thank you very much. As you are talking about blended families here, you're right. Even grandparents are blended. Like literally, I live in a building where there are older people, and it's very easy for them to say, "Oh yeah, my stepson's grandkids and you know, it's no biggie. It's like normal." And so here's where I'm going with this. They are blended families in Kenya. The only thing is they are so secretive. No one wants to talk about it. You might have this child who the husband got some lady in the village pregnant. This child is hidden in the village. Nobody knows. You as the wife, you have no idea. The family is there, it's blended, but it's separate. Occasionally, the husband, when goes to the village, then she'll visit, he or she will, well, he will visit and see the child. The wife has no idea. It is there, and unfortunately, that is so unfair to both parties. I take this back to religion, especially in the Catholic Church, where you're only allowed to marry one wife, one husband. This actually happened in my family. My mom and my dad were married in the Catholic family. My dad had many wives, well, more than one, more than two. Some of them, we knew them, and he had kids we did not know about. The truth comes out when he was being buried at the funeral, because now everybody comes out. Even some of them, I knew about them at the funeral, and these people were like in their teens. So it is unfortunate. We do have blended families, but we hide because of religiosity, and that is so unfair. What else? Catholic secretive. Yes. I think, and here's where I think we talked about DNA. So that's why it's so important when somebody passes away, husband or wife, whoever has property, that anybody that is claiming an interest in that person's material wealth must undergo a DNA test to ensure that these are actually the offsprings or the issues, as the law calls them, the issues of this family, especially right now when women can also inherit land. DNA is so important. So my conclusion, we have blended families in Kenya. We just hide them because of religiosity. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Gideon. Dorcas.
Okay, I want to bring in another angle from the experience of a guy I met and dated for a while. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out because I'm talking in the past tense. We are not an item. So what happened is this guy was a single dad to a daughter, like biologically related to the daughter. But then he was also the stepdad to a son. His wife was, sorry, I'm connecting my earphones. Yeah, okay. So his wife was, his wife came into the marriage with a son. She came into the marriage with a son, and he was aware. He was aware. He willingly raised that son for several years. Now, the problem is he never formalized their union. He didn't even do the traditional thing. You know, sometimes the traditional one, in as much as I don't like those customs, I still support the coming together of families, the knowing of each other's families. I think it's important so that they can acknowledge you. Otherwise, you will be denied certain legal rights. And that's the point I'm trying to make with this story, but I'll get to the point shortly. Let me finish the story. So let's call the guy Stephen. Stephen got married unofficially. It was a kamwiste to a lady who had a son from a previous relationship. They got a daughter together. Stephen's wife, technically speaking, like loosely speaking, because kamwiste relationships are not marriages, Stephen's wife died. She died. And after she died, he was only given legal custody of his biological daughter. The son, the one he had raised for many years as a blended family, was not acknowledged. The parents of the wife, they said, you know what? We don't know this man. He never came to pay dowry. So we are taking our child. This is our blood. They took the son who he had raised. So this is the danger. This is the risk of a DNA test coming out negative, showing you that you're not the father of the child. You raise the child as though the child is yours, and then something happens, and maybe the wife dies. You will not have any parental rights over that child. So what I urge people to do, if you do a DNA test, it is negative, and you've decided to stay. You've decided now to be like a step parent to the child, to be an adoptive parent, then become an adoptive parent in the legal sense. Go and get recognized. Go to the courts and adopt this child formally so that you have full power of attorney on the child. Otherwise, you're going to put in all that work and it will not be recognized. That's the point I wanted to make on blended families in the DNA context. Just make sure that you have formalized your association with this child. If you decided to continue parenting the child, even if they're not yours, then formalize it and make them yours. Otherwise, you're going to go through what Stephen went through. He felt so bitter about that child being taken away from him, but the child was not his biologically, and he had not done anything legal to make the child recognized. So yeah, that's the point I wanted to make. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorcas. So we are coming to the final topic, final subtopic, which is preparing for the conversation. The final subtopic, I want the men to speak, but it's like the men have left. We are only left with two men, me and Mario. The rest are ladies. So I don't know. So how do you discuss DNA testing with your partner? So preparing for the discussion, like at what point do you realize that this is not my day, this is not my I want to go for the DNA test. So at that point, how do you discuss that with your with the lady? That's what I wanted us to discuss, like the men and all that. So I don't know how we go with that, but we can go with the final remarks as we close the talk. So the final remarks as we close the talk. The final remarks. Mario.
Okay, thanks, Clinton. I think for me, what I'll say is a closing remark. This just proves what I always say. It proves my point. Sex is nothing to joke with. In fact, this discussion has made me see sex. I even fear sex more now because of this discussion. Sex is not joke. Thanks.
Okay, Mariki, thank you. As we close the subtopic, I want us to talk about this. Should there be a punishment for the women who commit paternity fraud? You talk about that with your closing remark. Ndeve?
First of all, it's for Muriuki. There's nothing dangerous about sex or eating meat or beans or githeri or ugali. There's nothing. It's just as natural as anything. And actually, that's why I put the 8. I know that is very, very safe. That's a lot of safety area there. 8 to the 18th day, you're good to go. Day 1 is you're working together with a woman, right? Day 1 is day 1. 8th to the 18th day, have fun. That's it's safe fun. Okay. As to punishing people, when we are talking about adults, we have to know consequences. The choices we make have consequences. So when you say you are going to punish an adult, their consequences are punishing them. And then there is the children. If you are talking about DNA and all that, then there are the children. So I think we should know the consequence. I was going to put it in the Kikamba. We should know the consequences of the things that we do. It is going to have consequences, not just on ourselves particularly, because we are adults, but on the children. There are going to be consequences. I think that that's what we have to think about. And the men, you cannot be on a high horse on this one just because you don't get pregnant. You can't be on a high horse on this one. Let's be truthful. Let's just face truth. Let's be truthful. If every time or every second time you cheated, you could get pregnant. Well. So there you go. So I think it is on both sides. This one is going to cut on both of us, on the men and the women. Just because men don't get pregnant does not give them a free from jail card. Yeah, thank you.
Never, if I may ask you, if I'm a man and my wife, like my wife, we have a kid and the kid is not mine. So am I going to be part? Like am I going to be part?
Clinton, let us. You know, the law is so. The law is a donkey. It's going to kick you and to tell you, is a child born in wedlock. That's your child. It's born in wedlock. That is the law. But when you do DNA and all that, it could come out something differently. But there are some jurisdictions that look at it like that child was born in wedlock. You were wedded to this person. That is your child. Now, my question would be, if a man bears a child out there in wedlock, maybe they can bring them home to me and tell me that this is your child, take care of it. It was born in wedlock with your husband. I think that should also be workable. If it can work the other way, it should also work the other way, that you bring me home the child that you had with your mpango, unamleta nyumbani, tunamlea. I think it should work both ways. I'm just being reasonable. Yeah, we blend them.
Okay, Dorcas.
Okay. We are answering. What question are we answering? Remind me. You're muted. You're muted, Black Messiah. What question are we answering?
Number 10, preparing for the conversation as you give your closing remark.
Okay. The conversation, how do you brought the subject of DNA testing? Yeah? That's the question. Yeah. Okay. So before I answer that question, I wanted to rebut Morioki's statement that he fears sex even more now. After having this discussion, thank you, Ndepe, for clarifying those moments where sex is not to be feared. Nature has given us a window, a safety window of anywhere between day 1 and day 7 of a woman's cycle, as well as day 19 to day 28 of a woman's cycle. So those are very many days, around 20 days that you can play around. Apart from that, if you're so scared of being a father, Morioki, why don't you get your tubes cut? Why don't you eliminate that possibility? Because technology has given us a way out. You are insisting on restricting your life, denying yourself this amazing pleasure called sex because you are scared of the outcome of pregnancy. But there's a method, there's a fail-safe method that will guarantee you will not father anyone. Just go for that. Unaogopa nini? Why? Mbona unajikazia hivi? I don't understand your reasoning, Morioki. Like we keep telling you over and over again, there are so many technological innovations that can prevent a pregnancy. So many. So I don't know. Ni kwa nini unakwamilia tu hapo. Me, I'm scared. Never be left alone with a woman in a room. No. Don't live like a monk when it's not necessary. Anyway, on this one, how do we broach the topic? As I said, all the reasons I gave of why a DNA test is necessary, most of them, not all, because with the case of adoption, now that one is legit, like it is it is neutral, emotionally neutral, the one for adoption. But for these other reasons why people get a DNA test, it could be that your wife blabbered and told you how sure are you that this kid is even yours. It could be that this child's features are suspect. Or it could be that you guys separated for a while and then she comes back and says she's pregnant. All those reasons to me, they are legit. They are legit. So I would just tell her, you know what? I want peace of mind. This child, honestly speaking, looks nothing like us. They look like they belong to another race. It's just like I would be burying my head in the sand if I don't do a DNA test, honey. So please, let's consider doing one. That's what? That's the approach. I would try and make her see the issue from my perspective, that this is for our benefit, it is for our security in this relationship. And if she has nothing to fear, then she will go ahead. She will consent to the test. Because it's reasonable. If you've been away for months, it's reasonable. If you guys broke up for a while, it's reasonable to ask for a DNA test to doubt your paternity. So I think to broach that topic, I would try and explain things from a rational angle. I would try and make the lady see the reasons behind my uncertainty. That's how I would do it. Now, overall, on the topic today and my closing remarks, I would say that this whole problem will be solved if DNA tests were made compulsory. I think relationships have become so mistrustful lately, especially with the advent of online dating. Sex with a random stranger is just a finger tap away. I just need to log onto Tinder or any other platform, sijui Kenya Cupid, sijui gani, Bumble. I just need to log onto an online dating platform and sex is just a click, a finger tap away. So with the advent of the online dating world, with the kind of scrutiny that people have with social media and all this, relationships have become very shaky. they become very shaky. So you can't even be sure that your partner is faithful. I think the way to go is to make DNA tests compulsory. That way, you will not seem as a man that you're accusing the woman of unfaithfulness, because if it's compulsory, it will be for everyone. And those people who object to compulsory DNA on the basis of expense, that it's so expensive, that will not be an issue when it is a requirement for everybody, because it will lower the price. If demand is high, then the price goes down. So that will lower the price, and there will be no hard feelings about any DNA test, because it will just be like a vaccine shot for infants whenever they go to hospital. So I think that would be the solution. All these issues, the way you are saying, how do you broach the topic of the DNA test? How do you build trust before doing all that will be eliminated if it was just made compulsory. I think that would be the way to go. That would be my solution. I support DNA tests. If I even had a partner who asked me to go and do a DNA test, I'd be like, sawa, because I know myself. I'm confident that I'm not cheating. I've never cheated on any man in my life ever since I started dating. Ever since I started dating in my teens, I've never cheated on anyone. So me, I wouldn't fear doing a DNA test. I think the people who are scared of DNA tests are people who are dishonest, are people who have something to hide. Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator, for the discussion. I really enjoyed it.
Liliana.
Okay. So closing remarks. This is a very, very interesting topic, and I hope people get to listen to some of the really, really good content that's been shared today. So I also support, just like Dorcas, I support compulsory DNA testing. And as both the man asking the woman to go for a DNA test, I would also do the same if I was a woman and my husband came and said to me, okay, I got this child from this particular person, and can we raise it together? Let's blend the family. Then I would say, sure, but let's prove that this child is yours. So let's go do a DNA test. Both ways, DNA test works both ways. Making it compulsory, one of the things that I would do right off the bat, if I was a young man going out there to date, I would do, I'm going to call it my manifesto. I'll do a manifesto. Number one, these are the things on manifesto. Number one, when we get married, we will go for DNA test every time we get pregnant. That's a manifesto. We're going to agree to that. Number two, we will ensure that we keep each other safe. So therefore, I'm going to mandate that we get tested. No, we not tested. We have a physical exam once a year where we test. We do our blood work. We do everything to test that we are safe and we are not exchanging diseases with each other. So as a young man, I would put that as my manifesto. These are the conditions for you and I to have a relationship to go ahead. Put it right at the beginning. What else would I put in my manifesto? Things around finances, my fiscal attitude towards money. This is what I feel. Now, this might look like it might be too much, but I think these are the type of conversations that should be happening before people get into long-term relationships. Be honest, put it out there, let's lay it to the ground. And I think that way then, me as a woman dating this person in the manifesto, I know I'm going to this relationship. I should be expecting when I get pregnant, we are going to do a DNA test. I should be expecting every April, we're going to go do our blood work just to make sure we are not exchanging diseases with other people. So I think that's how I'll do it. And for sure, I absolutely believe in mandatory mandatory DNA testing. I think it should be brought forward both for men and women at any time. And that way it normalizes it and it is okay to do that. Oh, another thing I would probably tell my woman, why I think it's mandatory and why it's an advantage. I'll say, you know what? Once a DNA test is done, we're doing it once. So therefore, when I pass away and issues of inheritance come along, you will already know that these kids are my kids. There will be no, you won't have to do that again and stress the kids. So therefore, we are building up a history of our issues before we both pass on. Therefore, let's do DNA test when we get kids. That's how I'll do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Okay, for me, the crossing remarks is DNA testing. You know, nowadays, with the modern technologies, I think like even in the constitution of Kenya, they should say that once a man is married and your wife is pregnant, when we go to an hospital to get a child, like my wife wants to get a child, I should have the DNA result of my kid. So once I get out of the hospital, I should have my kid, my wife, and the DNA result. So DNA result should be mandatory. I don't have to wait like I don't have to wait 10 years to get the DNA result. At the birth, that's when I have to get the result, the kid, the kid, so that I can know if I'm willing to provide or if I should walk away. You know, it's very sad. Like I've got a kid. I'm, I'm the father of the kid at 0 years. Like now, I have a who is 4 years. He's 3 years old. So right now, if I said to do a DNA result and I get this daughter is not mine, I'm going to walk out. If I walk away, I will leave this daughter alone because he has known me as his father. I'm the father of the kid. So if I walk away, I'm going to leave the kid alone. So my complaint is this: like the government will come up with a technique like we should know at birth if the kid is mine or is not. So if I said to stay, I stay. If I said to walk away, I walk away. So like it will be weird if right now my kid is turning 3 years so next month. So tell me if I walk away now, like I've known my kid, we have known each other, we play together. So if I walk away, I will leave this kid. I will leave this daughter alone. It will be uh, like I will leave this daughter alone. So the government should come up with something at birth. Is when I should get this result. That's my closing remark. So Muriuki, if you have closing remarks, you can say as we close the meet. Muriuki,
No, no, I enjoyed the discussion. I'm sorry I came in late, but I've liked when I came in late, but I've learned a lot. I'll also I'll watch it on YouTube.
thank you. Dorcas, you have anything to say?
I gave my closing remarks, but once again, thank you so much for the moderation. I really liked the insights.
Thank you, Julian. Closing remarks as we.
Yeah, I did, but I forgot to, first of all, thank you for the great moderating. I liked the questions, they made us think. And I really like that we were able to see what topics we're talking about and follow on. And hopefully you get to moderate again, because I did like the way you did it. And I enjoyed myself very much. And I'm glad I was able to contribute more this time than other times. Thank you.
Welcome. David?
Yes, thank you, Clinton. Yeah, thank you very much for your moderation. It's always, I always say that the more we have different moderators, the more we look at things from different, you throw different things at us, and that makes us think, and that is good. And this was, I know it was more like a man but we are able to look at it from a point of view, because we are also daughters, we are able to look. Pardon?
You're breaking.
Am I? Oh, I'm okay. Okay, let me come. I'm going to get closer to the mic. Yes, so we are also able to look at it from the point of view of daughters who have fathers, we are close to fathers, and we have seen fathers, and we have seen how they can be devastated by some of the issues with the children. So yes, we have been able to look at it from that point of view. Even if we are women, we also do understand where things go astray, and how it can hurt the other side. And thank you very much. It was very yes, it was a point, something to think about. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Okay, you have a good night. Like Muriuki, you can speak, and Dorcas, this I give you the mic. You can close the meeting.
Clinton, I didn't thank you. Thanks for the moderation, and thanks everyone for staying till late. We the ones who have been here till this time, thanks for holding on till 1 o'clock here. It's 1:14 here in Kenya. So thanks for holding on.
Yes, yes, indeed. So once again, great moderation. You took this topic to places we didn't think it could go. I thought it was a narrow topic, but you've shown that it is very wide. Your questions were thorough and they explored so many angles around families, around fatherhood, and trust in relationships. Well done. I hope you'll be available to moderate another time. So guys, I wish you all a lovely morning, afternoon, night, wherever you are. And let's meet next Friday. Bye.
Everyone.